Donald Trump's fresh 25% tariff on India has raised alarms across businesses in India and the US. The new tariffs are similar to the reciprocal duty rate of 26% announced earlier this year, which was later delayed to August 1st. More importantly, the additional penalties on India's purchases of Russian oil and military equipment and association with the BRICS group is a bigger worry. Now, the tariff on India is now higher than those offered to countries like Indonesia and Vietnam, but still lower than China and Bangladesh. A sixth round of negotiations is likely in August, but any breakthrough may now depend on a direct conversation between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. For India, the tariff hit comes at a sensitive time. Exporters are facing uncertainty, with many US buyers delaying fall-winter orders due to lack of clarity on the final rates. Industries could face further strain if the US imposes a transshipment clause, penalizing exports that use intermediate goods from countries like China. Adding to concerns is Trump's threat of a BRICS tariff, targeting countries buying Russian oil or arms, which may be levied over and above this 25% rate. India's trade experts warn that the move may hurt US businesses as well. And the government is now exploring alternative markets like the EU and UK, where deals have already been signed.
Trying to kill his own market, not Indian market. The reason behind that is the cost who are buying from Indian traders are increasing. If they are buying for $100, now they have to pay $125. And these people who are traders from India has to tariff 25% on them. So the market is not going to impact on them. They are trying to sell for other countries. And now we will route to Africa, we will route to Europe and other countries as well. Vietnam is nearby. We can route and we can sustain the market.
Indian industry would be required to do some kind of a repositioning. To a certain extent, the hit caused to the Indian exports could be mitigated by trade agreements with UK, European Union and the Middle East countries. But since US is our largest exporting destination, largest trading partner, it would be unrealistic to expect that this entire hit could be made up by greater exports to these countries. As I see it, the Indian companies will have to brace for some kind of a hit on incomes and profits.
In sensitive sectors like autos and consumer goods, India is likely to offer progressive quota-based access, as it did in its recent deal with the UK. If India can secure a final tariff rate of 10 to 15% on par with what Japan and the UK received, the outcome will be seen as relatively balanced. But if tariffs rise above 15%, India could lose competitiveness. The next few weeks of talks are going to be critical. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan has sent us this report.
The United States is set to impose a 25% tariff on all Indian imports starting August 1st, part of what President Trump calls a response to India's quote-unquote unfair trade practices and high tariff barriers. President Trump also announced a separate additional penalty not tied to trade, but India's continued purchases of Russian oil and military equipment. He criticized India's growing alignment with BRICS nations, calling the bloc, quote-unquote, anti-American. But just hours after that announcement, President Trump clarified that negotiations are indeed still ongoing, telling reporters, "We're talking to India now," adding that a final decision on a broader trade deal could come by the end of the week. India is a crucial U.S. partner, both economically and strategically. It's one of America's largest trading partners, a key counterweight to China, and a major supplier of pharmaceuticals, textiles, and tech talent. Differences seem to remain over agriculture, particularly U.S. demands for access to India's dairy and ethanol markets. In response, Indian officials say that they're reviewing the tariffs and remain committed to protecting domestic industries while pursuing a balanced agreement. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.